Yeah, just let it. Oh, you leader says it's ready. Hmm. Okay, cool.
I don't know what it's been like in a post-lockdown world for games. So I'm Dan, and I'm joined by Adam, who's one of my local gamers, and by Evan, who's come up from London for the most recent event. So we've just done on the weekend I think it's like the summer Sherwood event. It's hosted by a great guy in our meta called Simon, who basically like just flawlessly presents these amazing like fun events. He puts on a ridiculous buffet that gets mentioned an awful lot, but the games themselves are great, and like the atmosphere there is brilliant. He like puts a lot of effort into like spreading out the range of people that are playing. I think so. We'll often see like WCC players mixed in with brand new players as well, which is cool. So it's never too full on for anyone, which is kind of cool. But yeah, we just run off the back of that really. So we're talking about what we've been doing really. So Adam, do you want to just give us a quick hello, I guess, and what have you been doing during lockdown for your games? So Adam, you're just back, right? So
yeah, so I had dabbled a bit in Warmachine during MK2, where I had Signar, and kind of left due to, should we say, a difference in play styles in my meta at the local time. And then during lockdown, or just before lockdown, we kind of set up the local club, but at the Barbara Miners Gamers. And
I forgot about this.
I was playing.
I forgot that while I've been like telling people how awesome our local meta is, and like how we've got this club that's just like 10 minutes away from my house, I forgot this you that actually like kick-started getting us going, and so thanks. Let's carry on. Sorry, I'll remember that and give you like kudos next time.
It's fine, man. Humble brag, it's cool. So we'd set this club up, and primarily it did kind of start off more as an Age of Sigmar. Most of us were playing Age of Sigmar, and there was like a couple of Warmachine players that would always have a couple of tables in the corner, and it's kind of steadily grown, and particularly since the second lockdown ends. Who knows when they are these days? They all merge and blur into one. But yeah, it's kind of it's at least more than half now, and from talking to people on the internet, it feels like we're getting one of the larger local metas, which is great. We're getting 6, 7, 8 tables now, aren't we?
Yeah. I think
I've kind of got
7 tables booked for Warmachine for this coming Monday. Yeah. So not too bad.
So I kind of saw you guys playing a lot, and couldn't help but like go back to it and keep asking questions. And some of the aesthetic still, I like it. And I guess when I played in MK2, I didn't appreciate the exactness, the rigidness of the rules. And having now played my Age of Sigmar and done my tournaments there, it's just something that's a bit more appealing to me now. The exactness of it. So yeah, that kind of lured me back a bit. And I had a couple of Kador models, some old Man of War shock troopers sat on the shelf, and I always loved the Man of War. And I remember someone telling me back in like MK2 or even at the start of MK3, don't, they're crap. And what's swearing like on this, by the way?
Oh, it's fine.
When
You
we get
swear away. We're all over 18.
Sweet as.
Well, I'm drinking.
Fuck yes.
Let's go.
There we go. So someone told me, it might have been you, that just went, there's a theme now that you can do, and that was the stupidest thing someone told me, basically. So as soon as someone went, there's a Man of War theme, I was like, right, all in, let's buy it.
For you, yeah.
And it just so happened that a local shop had a sale on, and I managed to pick up the Man of War theme box for like 65 quid or something ridiculous.
I thought you were quite lucky to because they're not like super
really
easy to get hold of. I didn't think they were, but then Alex is now following suit with you, and he messaged me the other day saying, "I found this Man of War box. Is it worth getting?" But
yeah, I love it. Well, it's totally my style of play. I was just saying before you join us, I love how the Armored Core plays. Like in every game this tournament, and sorry if I'm jumping too far ahead here, if I had the option, I went second. I chose to go second.
Yeah. Because obviously you've got the advanced move, so you get like quite far up the table before you've even had a go.
Yeah.
And it's
it just gives me, as a new player, I found it a lot easier to react by going second.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
That's really interesting, because I think that actually speaks a little bit to the variation in the meta we saw up in the event, which was really nice, because contrasting that with a lot of the online play that's been playing, where people are really, they're pushing the bleeding edge of the meta.
Oh yeah, people go
and
hard and fast for
and
epic bullshit lists, like I have myself.
And like Aurora pick a number fucking list, like and they're sitting like 3 inches ahead of the middle of the board on turn 1, and they're threatening 3 inches into your deployment zone for the next. I'm exaggerating, but I'm not exaggerating by enough to matter.
Not by a lot. Yeah.
And when you face lists like that, suddenly going second is a real liability. But at the same time, it's been nice to kind of see a bit more variation in the meta, that you don't get punished that hard for taking second turn.
Yeah.
Which has been really nice to see.
Which is cool. Yeah. So Adam's come back, and you were playing primary Signar previously, and Kador was the secondary.
I used to. I kind of had Haley too, but I never played competitive lists, should we say, in Age of Sigmar. Having come from Warhammer, I always kind of liked the idea of making your own lists, and I hated net listing. And so coming over in the midst of MK, I think it was around about the middle of MK2 when my mate got me into it, and it was a bit jarring. As people were saying, no, you take the net list in Warmachine. That's exactly what you do. You take the net lists, you learn how to use it because they're proven, and you go hard.
I remember I played against you. I think the first time I met you was probably playing against you at an event in Outpost, and I brought Lilith 2. So I see where I was like, just drop down Lilith with like 4 Ravagors in Mark II, and like.
Oh.
And against someone that doesn't want to play against competitive stuff, it's pretty rough.
I kind of threw myself in at the deep end. Let's see, I only did 2 tournaments in MK2. One was Frontline, which was at the Outpost, so 5 games in one day.
Yeah.
And the other was SmogCon, so a 24-hour tournament.
Full on.
That was
style.
That was my experience.
That was cool. Cool, man.
It's looking back, it's no wonder that I quit.
So, and obviously then, you've been lured back by basically your own club's success, which is kind of cool. This is very cool.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a fully painted Armored Core force, and I'm waiting on a delivery to top up my Doom Reavers that I'd already owned from MK2, where I dabbled with some Kador models but never really played with them.
Yeah.
I think I'd snapped at the end of MK2, and I bought the fabled Butcher 2 theme list.
Yeah.
I never got to playing it before I quit. It was a case of if you can't beat them, join them. And I think my love for the game just sapped before I even built them.
Before you got to join them. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm building up the Doom Reaver list with Vlad 2 for my second list.
Very, very tasty still. Still a very good list.
I mean, that's what I was terrified of in my pod. Absolutely terrified of.
Do you want to quickly run down what you your lockdown stuff has been like, then, Evan. So you're obviously a South African, so you've been playing in VTC teams, haven't you, as well as you've been playing online as well as in person.
Yeah, so I mean, lockdown for me, it's been interesting. Like, I'm not as I've mentioned before, I really like the visual aspect of the game.
Yeah.
So we were discussing before we started recording. You know, I like seeing 3D terrain on the table. I really like seeing painted armies on the table.
Yeah.
You know, I don't give individual people grief about not painting their toys, but I absolutely prefer playing a painted army. Like that visuals, that whole visual and tactile element of it is amazing.
Yeah.
So not to take the reason I bring that up is not to take anything away from the guys who made War Table, which is a fantastic benefit.
Oh yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I'm still looking at getting like a couple of games a week, just against people in like the States and across Europe where I'm not going to see them. Yeah.
Oh, agreed. And it enables a whole lot of that. But the one thing that's, you know, it's not nice to say, but it just has to be acknowledged, is that without the tabletop element, playing Warmachine online is really just playing a bad computer game. Like, it's not a game designed to be played on computer, and the reason we play it on computer is we still picture the actual tabletop in our head, and it's the practice for the tabletop that we get in.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
That being said, War Table has been a lifesaver for the game over lockdown, and I've been playing a lot. I played in both of the VTCs.
Yep.
So for those who aren't aware, first get out from under the rock. But aside from that, that was a big team tournament organized by the team at Knight's Machine and the guys at Fish Courts, and they've now run it 2 years. This massive team event that has been brought people from across the globe playing Warmachine.
Yeah,
really
cool.
spectacular
like
effort.
Over 100 players each time. And
yeah, it's just a spectacular effort. So much work has gone into it. I appreciate it so much. They're talking about running a third one, and I will support it in any way I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been a lot of my experience. But like I was saying before, in responding to Adam earlier, is the people playing online. When you're playing online, you're practicing. It's not about which are the most fun models that you put down. You don't put down Rias 2 because she looks cool on the table. Yeah. You're practicing. Everything looks like a little circle. You put down the hardcore thing you want to practice.
Yeah.
Which means like you really are only playing the bleeding edge of the meta. Which is a very different experience. It's been such a nice change, kind of getting onto the tabletop and seeing, oh right, people are playing what they've got. It's not quite as cutthroat.
Yeah,
I think, not that the cutthroat is wrong. It's just a different experience. Like,
yeah, I think we've been seeing very similar things with Age of Sigmar in lockdown as well. Lots more people had been using Tabletop Simulator to play Age of Sigmar.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess Games Workshop's policy has been to just spit out, even in spite of lockdown, spit out army books like every month.
Have you seen Games Workshop's share price over lockdown? They have been
coining
it.
Into it.
They have been. I did the same. They've been bloody coining it. They've been making a
power to them. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
I mean, well done to them. Honestly, that's just unreal.
But yeah, so they've been spitting them out so much that even in Age of Sigmar, which personally I think has the highest average quality of painted armies. Like, I mean, you're not allowed, basically. You don't go to tournaments with unpainted miniatures in Age of Sigmar, and there are massive prizes like crystal brushes and stuff.
Can confirm, I learned this the hard way. the one Age of Sigmar event I went to.
Yeah. So people have been going online because they've been making these super janky lists that they either wouldn't have the money to buy.
Oh, interesting.
And it's been incredible for people to really, truly power test and theory. Like you say, it's practice. So they've been theory crafting.
Like you wouldn't want to buy 9 Toros to play like a list, not know if it works. You proxy it out, or in this term.
Yeah,
now you get to, rather than proxy it out, you just go onto War Table or to Tabletop Simulator and stuff. It's kind of cool.
So getting back to like the whole lockdown experience, so I was quite excited. When lockdown hit, I'd just gotten hold of my Infernals. So I had about 6 months of like really, high motivation to paint my Infernals. And then, for a year, they just haven't been able to get on the table. So I've been playing them online. And I have to say, without being able to get onto the table, like my painting motivation just dried up.
Yeah.
And this recent end of lockdown, I'm painting stuff again. I finally finished painting Linda the Forgotten today. I have to mention it just because I've been ranting about this idiotic, terrible model
you ranted
for
on the weekend.
Weeks on end. Yeah. Oh man, I can't stand her. But anyway.
So that's our kind of brief coming back into the game. Obviously, we've had our club's been open for probably about 2 months now. I'd say we've been doing games, and we started having like very, very distant games. So we had like a table map. We have to book ahead, and everyone wears masks and everything. And obviously, as it's relaxed in the UK, so we've had more capacity. So I think we're now back up to 9 tables, which is a good amount. So we've got like 7 tables booked for the next week, and they're all Warmachine at the moment. And we're like 20.
That's incredible. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, we're like 20-30 minutes from
jealous.
Warhammer World. We are like right in the thick of like Games Workshop prime territory, and we're still like doing really well, which is cool. But yeah, so the event we've just all come back from doing is the little local one that Cy Robinson very lovingly runs for us. So he runs I think he aims for like 4 a year, and there's a buffet, and he basically splits it into different pods. So we had 39 players for a start, so absolutely like a cracking number for the first event back. 39 players, and that was split into 3 different pods, and then Cy basically just looked at like the field and tried to split those people amongst like WTC players and people who are sharks or want to be sharks and want to be like playing really competitive, and sort of shuffling them around so they weren't all in one together, or there wasn't like one shark who'd basically easily dominate a pool. And the same with like returning players, newer players. It was a really good mix of skill, and that's part of his his thought behind it, which I think makes for a really friendly, good steamroller. And it's all populated by people from all over the place. Really, we've had people come up from South Wales, from London. Obviously, Evan's got from London. We had the Scots come down from Stirling, and all the way across like England. It's really cool. We get like such a mix, and then it's all like Matt's and Terrain and Cy's been really at it this last couple of weeks, making a bunch more 3D terrain, and his take on it, which I was a little bit like hesitant about previously, because I've been playing with WTC in practice, that sort of thing. So I've been playing with 2D terrain, but I'm now 100% sold by his like 2.5D terrain idea.
I mean, it's the way. Certain things are just a pain. Like, you need to be able to put your models flat on things that they're supposed to go on.
Yeah.
So like,
and this is what Simon does.
Get.
So he'll basically use 3D terrain if you can't land on it. So walls and obstacles are 3D, and they're just like buildings, structures, like sort of rocky outcrops, trains, that sort of thing, and then the flat 2D terrain for the stuff that you want to be on. And it really made a difference in how I think the games looked. I think it really looked cool. I'll put some pictures up later, but I've took a couple.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It makes you enjoy what's happening, and it's one of those things where, especially if you're losing a game, to be able to see something cool unfolding in front of you takes a lot of the sting out of it.
Yeah.
If you're in a game where you're just either it's a bad matchup, or maybe you played badly, or the other guy just pulled something out of the hat and he's playing really well. And it's a long game that you're on the wrong end of, and you probably lose.
So just put up the screenshot from my first game as an example while we're talking about it.
Right.
So it's basically like a train track across like the middle of the board with a bunch of train carriages and platforms, which are solid obstacles, and then things like the rubble and some quicksand, which looks a little bit like Costa Coffee, but is quicksand. Is there as well, which is kind of cool.
I mean, the short side of that is, if there's an enjoyable spectacle in front of you, the fact that you're still trying as hard as you can to win. This is Warmachine, but if you lose, it's not a big deal. You are still enjoying the spectacle in front of you.
Yes, yeah.
And that makes a huge difference. So for me, 3D terrain, I'm all in favor of 3D terrain. I know I'm in the minority of competitive players here.
I think it's a growing majority, though. Cause
you guys are wrong.
Yeah. People need to look at a game and go, yeah, that looks the part. And especially like if you're playing at a club or a shop.
You want people who walk. Yes, you want people who are walking by in a club and say, "Ooh, I want to see what's happening. Cool. Yeah, Can I get some toys?"
And no matter how cool your models look, if your models are just playing on a flat bit of board, it loses that element, right? And obviously,
with
a lot of
just a couple of mouse pad terrains,
exactly. Yeah. Two archangels on the table looks fantastic, but if they're just on mouse pad, you're losing that extra draw.
You lose so much of the spectacle.
And obviously, there's when I got into the game, it was humongous, and we've got in our club, we think we've got like 3 or 4 brand new players, which is amazing. Like we've not seen that for a good while, and we want that to carry on going. So I'm all in as well. I'm in with the terrain. I shall be building and painting some of my 3D terrain I've got sat in the shed for that purpose. Yeah,
I've got a bit of 3D terrain at home for kind of hosting games as well.
So
and the flat 2D terrain.
yeah. A bit of a mix. I think
the only thing I need is some trees on a stand. Like that's the one where I like forests on trees, but the trees need to be removable.
Yeah, I've got some of the GW like alien trees from 40k, which are literally.
Oh, I don't like those. Oh man.
I could quite easily get some like just model railway trains and trees and be just as good.
There's a lot of terrain they do well, but there's some terrain they do, like some of their buildings are amazing, but their trees just look awful. Those were a bit of a miss.
Yeah, so that's the event that we've just been to. And we're just going to quickly go through what our experiences were like there. Obviously, Adam's a returning player. I guess like an old man at Warmachine now. I'm getting on. This would have been my 4th year for WTC. So when we go back next year, that'd be cool. And Evan's obviously an international player of acclaim, right?
I am a big fish who's been put in his place from a little pond.
Listeners have really got both ends of the spectrum today with me, haven't they?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Should we start with you, Ad? So what did you bring?
Would you want us to run through what we took?
Yeah. What did you? Well, we'll just, in fact, we do that first, then we'll just do everyone's pairings, and then we'll talk about like our 4 games, but maybe like a little bit more detail in a particular good one.
Like Evans just said, I'm a big stickler. I guess I thought it was just a thing from coming from like Age of Sigmar and 40k. I'm a big stickler for bringing fully painted. Mm-hmm. So I knew I was handicapping myself. I took one list to the tournament because it was fully painted, and was painting for like 10 hours straight the day before to make sure of that. So my list was Kador, Armoured Core, Sorcerer 3 as my caster. The only jack I had was Victor, which gave me some long-range threat, so I thought.
Very long-range threat.
Very long-range threat, yeah. I had a Man of War Kovnik. At the last minute, I changed from 2 suppression tankers to 1 suppression and 1 strike tanker. A unit of 4 mechanic.
That was while we were in the car park, right? You changed that.
Pretty much while we were sat in the bar filling in my sheet, if I remember, whilst eating the double sausage and egg McMuffin. And I'd never used the strike tanker before, so I'd painted him the day before. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm taking him."
Is that the little armor piercing one?
Yeah, exactly. It gets a bonus dice against
and it's
huge
Grievous.
faces.
Grievous and
Yeah,
armor
Grievous
piercing.
ones.
Oh, feck me. Okay,
Armor piercing and siege, and I was basically like, I walked from the entrance to the bar and went, "Holy shit! Look at all these huge bases." Yeah, I'm gonna put a siege tanker in there. So yeah, we had a strike tanker even. So yeah, I had a Commandant Artanis Arkonovich, a full unit of bombardiers with the officer, a full unit of demo corps with Dragodogovich, and a full unit of shock troopers with their officer. And that was my list. I'd had 4 games of MK3 prior to the tournament.
Oh, wow.
So basically I went in with the expectations of, and I'm being very serious here, I hope by the end of today I haven't lost a game on clock. Like if I can lose a game but not be on clock, I'm content with progression there.
It was one, right? You were looking to not clock yourself in one game, and that was your
in one game. Yeah. I totally. Well, I'd not managed it in my 4 practice games, like my 4 intro games, because I was just trying to learn the rules at that point. So in my first 3 games of MK3, I'd not used clock, and in the 4th one against Sai, I had clocked out, of course, and lost, but carried on anyway to get a feel for it. So yeah, it was quite interesting. Learned Baptism of Fire. So this tournament was my 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th game. So that was the list I was taking.
I felt really bad. I felt really bad post event because obviously we've got another one of our locals, part of our D&D group. Alex, who used to play Kador, and is basically coming back in and going, "I want to play Kador again, so I want to play Man of War." And I was looking at trying to help him sort of figure his way back into the new lists, and I realised that I'd absolutely missed out something really good that I could have told you to take or suggested for you to take, which was sliding a Death Archon into your list, because Death Archons, when they hit you twice, stationary you and have a 3-inch thresher, and obviously once you're stationary versus your Man of War, they become weapon masters.
Yeah.
So I was thinking also just for Mortal Fear.
Yeah, Mortal Fear.
You're already tanking up to hell. So what's better than just?
I wouldn't know what to drop. I feel because the tankers are my requisition. I should have said the 2 tankers. Dragodogovich are the requisitions.
You need 8 points to do that. It's rough.
Yeah.
You need
Plus,
to drop
I
something.
hate Archons. You know how I said when I joined in MK2. I didn't want to do the thing that everyone was doing. Well, it feels now it feels like everyone's got an Archon in their list. So I was like, fuck Archons.
This is true.
I feel the same way, but I'm a little more of a can't beat him, join him.
I
do have 8 Archons sitting around my office right now waiting for painting.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm converting a Void Archon for the Vlad 2 Doom Reader list that's going to join this list.
Yeah.
So I am going to have that.
I have to have a good reason to paint up the Void Archons, which basically is Crix, so it's not there yet.
Someday. So what were you playing, Evan? What was your pairing?
So I was relishing the opportunity to bring out my actual Infernals that have been painted up and can actually get some table time. So I've been trying to teach myself Agathon. So my plan was to drop Agathon into every match that I could this weekend.
Yeah.
So true to form, I only dropped her once because that's just the way I do things. Yeah. But the plan was Agathon and to have Omodamas as a scare list. So Omodamas is really it's pretty much a standard net list. It's Omodamas with a min unit and max unit of cultists, I like to call it a max unit of tormentors. So that's 5 Tormentor heavies.
Yeah.
And then the gate, and then just all the solos. I'd originally taken out Valen Hawk after Valen Hawk.
Yeah.
After his nerf. His nerf, which was well deserved by the by. Just in case anyone thinks I'm whining about that, absolutely had to happen. But I didn't see much point to him after that. But I threw him back in. mostly because of Death Archons. Because the amount of damage they can do to you, the amount of damage that they can do, especially to an Infernalist like that, that's required to play quite tight, is just insane. And you can't afford to have stationary on top of that.
Yeah. I guess Lilith 3 as well, who's still floating around.
I mean, I haven't seen Lilith 3 in a long time, and I don't expect to.
We've got of our 4 Legion players. We've got like a lot of people who play with us. A lot of people who play with us play multiple factions, but I think four of the guys play Legion.
Anytime
have Lilith 3.
You know, the only good reason I've seen for Lilith 3, I keep looking at her, and the only reason is to drop her as a counter to Bethane 1.
Yeah.
Because it's a 2-inch threat extender on the Archangel further than Bethane's Archangel. It's the only reason I can think of to play Lilith's 3. But yeah, so I threw in Vale and Hawk, and that's pretty much the standard Omo list. Yeah. And then Agathon I build like a coward. I take 3 Arc Nodes because I know I'm not good enough to keep them all alive, so I give myself redundancy. I've only got 3 Heavies because of that. And I also, again, out of cowardice, I bring myself 1 Umbral Guardian. 2, I mean, the maths of it, 2 is pointless. You know, you're going to use those to protect Heavies. Yeah. If you're going to take 2, just bring an extra Heavy. Yeah. But 1, I think, is quite useful as a requisition.
Yeah, I think they're underplayed. There's such a unique defensive piece, and I don't see them.
You know the interesting thing about them as a piece. It's not so much that they stop a heavy dying; it's that they stop the wrong heavy dying. That's where people are playing threat range games with you, and you can keep the heavy you need to retaliate alive.
Yeah,
so that's where they become very interesting.
And then stick a ghostly weapon master in front of them if you want to.
It's a ghostly weapon master with retaliatory strike.
Yeah, if someone's like running towards the end of their shots to clear
not
something.
Retaliatory. It's much better. It's defensive strike. Yeah, it's a really good piece. It's it's hard to justify as not a marked soul and half a heavy.
Yeah, your
so but anyway,
it's always been tight, haven't they?
Yeah, it's always tight. But yeah, so that was my pairing, was Agathon and Omo. I wanted to play Agathon all weekend, and I failed dismally, and that was all in my own hands.
So then to me, I brought Grimkin. So I've been playing Convergence and dabbling in Mercs. I've been playing Aurora 2 and dabbling with her off list basically throughout the entire lockdown. So I played them. The Auroras in both VTCs, and I played like a good amount of games. I've got most of the models in person, not quite everything ready, but nothing is painted. And I was just like, I had a fair few physical games, but like I'm literally like there lifting things in and out as if I was like, you know, one of those toy grabber things. And I'm like, every time I go in, it's like a bunch of angels fall on the floor because I've got to grab a heavy amongst these guys, and the wings are this way, and it was just like a nightmare. It's just like, I'm just going to go back to the Grimkin that I loved, nearly all painted, and I'll enjoy putting a pretty army on the table. So similar to you, basically, I wanted to put down a painted army, but it'd be in August. I didn't have time to finish painting because I've got kids and it's school holidays, which is over.
Yeah.
This is the last week holidays, so cool. So that's what it is. So I played, or rather I brought a pretty standard Wanderer list. Wanderer with like 3 Cockatrices, double Nayslayers, double Ghoul, double Mallyman, and I'd only played I think 2 or 3 Grimkin games since I came back. So 2 or 3 in 2.5 years, and I'd never played Wanderer before. So I essentially had played Wanderer twice, so I had very little intention of dropping Wanderer. So my actual list I brought was King of Nothing.
In the
yeah. So
I was just going to say, in the second VTC, I was playing that a very similar Wanderer list, but I really enjoyed the Dragoon with the Dreadrots there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you considered that.
It was. I don't have Isaiah. He's one of the few things I don't have in the.
Right.
In the faction, I don't have. In fact, I don't have Dreadrots. I never bought Dreadrots, and I never bought Piggybacks or Witchwoods when I bought like the entire faction. And then I've not bought Isaiah since he's come out. And I don't have a Slaughterhouse until tomorrow. Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, you're actually buying the Slaughterhouse.
I'm having a Slaughterhouse is being delivered to my house tomorrow.
Wow.
So I am excited to do some epic painting, and I'll definitely give it a go on the table. It'll be interesting. But my other list, so the list I was basically going to play was King of Nothing in Bump in the Night. I tried some versions of him in Dark Menagerie, but I specifically went for Bump because I could take a Graveghoul. So I've got Bump with Baron Tonguelick, 6 Clockatrices, pretty nasty, 2 Defiled Archons, Longfellow, a Graveghoul, 2 Maldy Men, which are my requisition points, Longfellow and the Maldy Men, and 1 point of Cask Imps, which gives me 2 Cask Imps who literally just get in the corpse pile turn 1.
It's a really interesting choice not taking it in Bump for the for the Graveghoul, as opposed to the Kiriana Rose in in Menagerie.
It's a case of like I can do a 4-point armor swing, 5-point if I aim for like my Arcana to be part of that. So if I take
Fortune's Path,
versus like an extra 2, but the rerolls. The rerolls are like important enough to take the theme, and it's rerolls and the roll to go first, having to reroll on that as well, and that's basically what buys that theme. And then Longfellow has got obviously like some help for the assassination as well. That was
he's definitely a nice addition.
Spoilers. All I played was King of Nothing all weekend, and yeah, I played nice-ish mostly, but no, I didn't. No, I tried to assassinate people every game I played. It was fine.
Yes.
With that, if we bump back to Alan, give us just a quick rundown of what was how did your games sort of pan out? Do you want to give us like a very brief synopsis of your games, and then a bit more detail in whichever one was like your favourite game or a particular cool thing that happened?
Okay, so round 1,
round 1 was split decision, so one of the new scenarios. So
yeah, and this it's a very asymmetrical one, isn't it? So you've got like a flag on the left or the circle on the left or something.
Yeah.
You got a circular zone on one side, and you got the 2 flags and the 2 objectives on the other side.
Yeah, I'll stick up a screenshot.
Yeah. I was down. Basically, I was still a bit nervous. I got drawn against Signar, and he was playing Cray in Storm Division, and it was an exceptionally focus efficient list where he'd got like 2 Stormclads in it and some Stormlancers, and so he kept boosting his. His Stormclads always found a way of being fully boosted, and they got a lot of work done. In spite of that, I felt I was doing well on attrition, and stupidly, in order to get rid of one of his Stormclads, I left Sorsha in a stupid position where I made a mistake. I thought being in cover meant I got it in melee. Again, it's my 5th game.
Yeah,
and so completely overestimated her defense, and she got her ass smacked down by a Stormclad. So I lost that game by assassination and learnt a very important lesson about cover. Second game, I was.
If I just interrupt you quickly, Ad, let's just do a quick like first round, second round, third round. It'll probably be a bit more.
Sorry, man. Yeah.
So Evan, do you want to quickly go over your second round?
Yeah.
Your first round game. So your split decision.
Okay.
And I'll have
the
image
my
of the
first round. So my first round split decision. So I played. I think this was a newly returning player, a great chap by the name of Greg Claydon. So he brought minions. So I said, "Hey, cool! I get to drop Agathon," which is great. I can't remember what his pairing was. Hold on, I wonder if it's. I doubt it's listed over here. But he had was it a Barney? No, I think he dropped Jugga Jugga. Yeah, he dropped whoever it was that's got silent importance. There we go, Jugga Jugga.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Jugga Jugga with a whole lot of war beasts plus friends. So he had a pair of the shooty beasts. He had a wrestler in there. He had a swamp horror, and he actually had a full unit of Gatorman. And I tried to kind of warn him about all of the nonsense that I can pull, but I don't think he quite understood the threat ranges, or no, he understood them, but he was a little scared by them, so he kept putting guys quite far up, just in range of me hellmouthing forward, but with enliven on them. So and he thought he kind of took advantage of the table like that. But it meant turn 2, I could just throw up a Forebodar, and with 2 spells from Agathon, I trigger both the Enlivens. To keep them safe, he backs off quite far, and it just lets me get quite a big scenario lead. And then so I got a nice solid scenario lead. He plays back at me the second turn, getting a bit closer, and I have a nice big turn where I kill like 3 heavies. I just leave him with the Swamp Horror and the Wrestler. But I run into my usual problem, which is I finished my turn 3, and then he finished his turn 3, and that's when Simon calls lunch. And I've got 3 minutes 34 on my clock, and he's got 22 minutes.
All right.
And we break for lunch. That was fun. I think if Simon hadn't called lunch, I'd have lost that game on clock. But because I had time to think about what I was doing on over lunch, I basically just contested scenario. I said I'm not killing anything else, unless it's contesting one of my zones. And what was quite cool, I managed to win it at the end. He trampled up a Wrestler to get within 4 of my flag. And Agathon charges him, pokes him with a little finger, and Agathon's got that same ability as Denny,
so
where you teleport someone d6 plus 3 inches away. So I teleport him out of range of the flag and out of control of Jugga Jugga to Frenzy, and then teleport back. So that was quite a nice a neat little way to finish up that game.
That's pretty cool. That's
cool. So I took that one on scenario 5-0 with something like, I don't know, 17 seconds left or something ridiculous.
Loads of time, loads of time. So my first game was against another Cador player, so Phil Pierce, who lives up near the Scottish border. He plays at Stirling. I can't remember the name. Do you remember the name of the Stirling game shop? Might be Frontline. Anyway, so he'd come all the way down, and he was playing a very old school Cador list of Winter Guard with Vlad. So Vlad would sign the portents of Victor, and then a load of Winter Guard units with full Rocketeers. So very popular old list. And obviously placement decision we had essentially a train track across the middle of the board with 3 separate carriages. They were all obstructions. They were just about wide enough to put 2 3-inch AoEs in between. So I won the roll to go first, and I think King just ran turn 1, and I think I just ran up everything outside of range, and then turn 2 I basically could tow into the big circle zone on the left, behind clouds. Stick a desecration or desolation rather from my Defiled Archons in front of it, so he couldn't get his jack into melee with the clockatrices by trampling. It was pretty good choice. He put a lot of stuff in where he could, but essentially sort of shuffled around. Didn't really get much done, and then my next turn on the far left I sent an angry monkey into his cluster of Winter Guard, literally an entire unit together.
Oh no!
I killed the charge target, and that was it. It was a spectacular fail, But I was like looking at
Oh
it,
no!
and I basically then did a lot of shuffling around. I killed some Winter Guard with some sprays, purposefully left 2 clockatrices in the clouds to like try and bait him to come in with some stuff. And then his next turn, he took a long one trying to get a lot of work done. So he signed a portents. Vlad had was in the middle of his end of the table, but like surrounded by 1 unit of Winter Guard. So he's got sack pawn too, I think, from the theme, or sucker or something. Victor comes up.
Sack pawn.
Victor comes up, does some damage, but like not enough. One of the clocks gets crit slammed out of the cloud, and then no one can see him anymore to follow up. So he basically left the clock on like five boxes at the end of it or something, but knocked down, but behind my clouds. There's no way you can finish it off. And I triggered Fortune's Path sometime along the run as I saw how things were going. So he spent a big old chunk of his clock trying to sort of get things done, but ended up with maybe 3 Winter Guard in the circle zone. I was scoring my flag. He wasn't scoring his because he needed to have the space for Victor to land near it. But I was kind of like, well, I could either play this out and just stick a clock up with time lock on and just mess around with him with clouds, or I could just end it. And I was like, well, I wanted to play this list to try and assassinate, so let's make my play now where I can do it safely and see how it pans out. So I basically had a couple of clocks assaulting Victor to get the right angles, where they were nowhere near Victor, but they were basically just going for trimming out Winter Guard around Vlad. So I was boosting against the Winter Guard, not against Vlad. I think it took 2 clockatrices and Longfellow to kill all of the Winter Guard in Sackpawn range. At which point the 3rd clock walked up, boosted a spray. Once the Graveghoul had run up behind him, got Vlad with a slow, and I'm like, okay, right, I guess it's time now. Vlad's on 1 camp, so a monkey runs up to within 5. The injured clockatrice at the back that couldn't be any part of any meaningful assassination run, basically just walked across and killed the Malady man, the organ grinder, because you can't target one of your guys out of formation. So obviously the monkeys run far up with acrobatics, and the Malady man is blocked behind everything. So basically, my clock on death's door just walks up behind, kills the Malady man, and chucks its corpse into the Graveghoul. Handy. At which point, King of Nothing sands of fates forward, and does 3 Death to Dusts and kills Vlad. I think I had 2 Defiled Archons and another 3 clockatrices to activate afterwards.
It's a lot
Baron,
of assassination shots you've got in that list.
It was pretty on. So that was that. And the guy was absolutely lovely to play against. But I was just aware that the lunch ticker was coming. So the guys on the table next to me had already finished, and they were literally finished as quick as they could to prep for the epic buffet of lunch. So that's what we did. So we went to lunch, and it was nice. I'm not eating sugar, so I just ignored the dessert table, which was hard.
Oh, you must start.
Yeah, it's self-inflicted. My body is a temple. It's a dilapidated temple. It's one of those fucking fix-em-upper shows, unfortunately. So I'm in the process of fixing it up a bit. So
my body is a temple to Dionysus.
yeah, right. So we went on to the next round. So round 2 after lunch was King of the Hill. How did you get on, Ad?
Pretty sweet in this one. I got drawn against Crix, and I believe it was Mortenebra.
Was it Lee playing Crix?
Yeah, Lee de Balkan, yeah.
One of the Space Force, yeah. They're like a little team from the northwest.
Yeah. Again, I kind of started at this point. It's weird. I'm a big fan of wrestling, and I'd watched an interview with there's a wrestling where Stone Cold Steve Austin. He does a show where he interviews old wrestlers. There is a point to this story, I assure you. And he'd interviewed the Big Show, this 7-foot guy who had said that it started clicking for him when people went, dude, you're a big guy, slow down. You're meant to be slow. Stop trying to be fast. That's not you. And it's weird. This is the game where that kind of the penny dropped for my list, and I'd been rushing forward trying to attack people and everything with my list so far. And, doing stupid things like with the shock troopers, for instance, just because the officer gives them assault doesn't mean you got to use it. And I was basically trying to there'd been times when I'd assaulted them forward because it got me the range to get a shot off, and actually that was totally not worth losing shield guard for it.
Yeah.
So the point is, this was the game where all the pennies seemed to start to fall into place, and I ground him out basically on attrition. Again, he was up by about 3 on scenario, but I just shot and chopped everything off. Now, I did learn an important lesson in this game. Every game in your first 10, you're going to learn something huge with. And in this one, I learned to respect respect where you come on at the side of the bird. Ambush, there you go. So he had these power fisting units that came onto the side and utterly destroyed. Yeah, I should have realised it and just pointed. It would have been easy to point my demo core to face the sides.
Yeah.
But instead I didn't, and so he brought them on, charged my demo core from behind, and just just destroyed them. But the rest of my force was so that lost me the left side, but I had a Victor parked exactly where it needed to be. And once I managed to shoot off, he had the giant... It looks like a huge base thing where it's a giant testicle with a gun, basically, and some tentacles.
The Kraken.
The Kraken, that's the one. I will learn these things better as it goes, I promise. Until then, you get my joyful descriptions. And yeah, so once that was out the way, and I used Victor to basically... Because he'd thankfully charged all these power fisters in and ruined my demo core, they were clumped together, so Victor just basically had a joy and dropped a big ass template on them. So the trade-off was possibly worth it, as neither of us was then contesting the left side.
Yeah.
I still had a Victor. I managed to... the Bombardiers, I really clicked with them in this game as well. Because I've seen people saying drop the Bombardiers, they're just not worth the points, they'll never make it back. But I was using continuously. I'd started learning really how to use shield wall and make sure that my shock troopers were safe. With Iron Flesh and shield wall, they're armor 23 or something. They're not going anywhere. So the Bombardiers were tucked up safely behind them, and with a 12-inch range, they again realizing they can do combined ranged attacks on feet turn.
They can be quite scary.
Yeah, well, on feet turn, they got rid of the Kraken.
Wow.
By just doing that, I think a feet would have given me 12 shots, so I think I may have did 6 combined ranged, or I might have even done 4 combined ranged, but yeah, it gave me a lot of work to get rid of the Kraken.
That's
and
cool.
meant Victor was basically just sat there completely uncontested, and he was having kittens basically trying to figure out how to go about things, and ended up clocking. So it didn't feel good at first, because it was a win, but by clock. And again, coming from a different game system, it felt guilty, like weird to have won.
I still don't like clock wins. I still don't like them.
But slow play
I
is like
consoled myself
a thing
after
in
that.
Age of
It's
Sigmar,
just
right?
part of the rules.
It is, but it's the same. Like, if it happens, it happens. But I really don't like. I certainly don't like playing for it. It's the same reason I've always despised American sports. Like the clock is a part of their game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens with basketball. That's what happens in really bad footy games.
You'll hate
you have people.
I played American football, and I'm an American football official as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man!
So
I mean,
it's part of it, and I didn't realize on my list that it was part of that. And someone said to me after, I said to them, was like,
it's a win condition.
It doesn't feel like a win. It's like, yeah, but that's your list. Your list it asks the question, can you grind through this many high armor boxes? And I'm going to cause you that question all game. And if I put my models in the right place, it's going to cause you time to think things through. Learning how to use my bombardiers has cut about 15 minutes off my clock time, to be fair.
Oh, fair enough.
Them
nice.
firing all over the place just eats clock. But yeah, so I'm very rarely going to get the assassination. I'm pretty good at attrition, and again, I've not quite got scenario yet. So for now, if that's how I'm winning games, by causing my opponent to struggle and use up their clock, then so be it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so ended up winning on clock on this one. But I think I would have had him on attrition anyway, as there wasn't much left that would have took out Victor at this point.
Yeah, that's one of the things, isn't it? That we talked about is if you can remove anything that threatens Victor before Victor goes in, then he gets to just do whatever he wants anywhere on the table.
He bullies the board, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he bullies pretty far.
Absolutely.
It's cool. Right.
I mean, that's a question that your opponent knows he has to answer. Like, if he's only got a couple models that threaten Victor, he has to make sure those guys stay alive.
Yeah. My pups have just come through to go to the toilet. So that was Adam's first win, and well done, buddy. And then Evan,
well done.
What was your second game? Second game, King of the Hill.
Oh, so my second game, King of the Hill. So I played this right dickhead who just went into the tank for 30 minutes. No, so what happened here? I was playing Grimkin into Grimkin. It was a Grimkin player, I say, and I mean, I looked at this. I also play Grimkin, and one of the most awful experiences of my Warmachine life has been playing Grimkin into Omodamos. So,
it's
being a terrible person, I dropped Omodamos.
So this is my second round too. This
is Dan's.
And it's rough.
I wasn't paying attention. It's rough. Like on an attrition basis, it is almost, unless I play like an idiot, it's almost impossible for Dan to win this.
Yeah, the changes
it's just horrific.
So not being able to charge and counter charge through your own beast, your own horrors now.
Yeah,
the mat drop
it's
a
not
little
impossible.
Bit helpful, but still, down to mat 6, you boost, right? You're going to be boosting everything to get the synergy.
I'm still
going.
playing with synergy. I'm still playing with the curse with Runewood 2. It's not a fun matchup for you at all. It's a rough matchup. And I should have paid more attention to that, and I didn't, because if someone's in a bad matchup and you give them a 40%er, they're going to take it, and you were absolutely right to take it.
So what we did is I lined up my row of clocks and just ran up to like the edge of the zone on turn 1, and my game plan was wait until Omodamos is like vulnerable and just all in, because that's how you win this match.
And I didn't even consider that, and I really should have. Yeah. And at that point, I was camping 2 and armor 20, and I thought, no, he's safe. And he wasn't safe, and it was by turn 1. Like, I didn't have to stand in range of clocks, and he'll never be down to 2 again for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely foolish.
And in my head,
there's an interest.
In my head, I was like, he's down to 2. It's go.
Yeah, exactly. There's an interesting question around assassinations as well in tournaments that I thought's worth discussing. One of the things when you go to any tournament is, what are you looking to get out of it, or what are you trying to achieve? What's your stretch goal? So like Adam was saying, I want to just not clock myself one game. Okay, it's a modest goal. It's a goal. It's something you're trying to achieve. He's already beaten that goal by round 2. Great. So I go in. I can't shake the feeling. I can't shake my habits. I was a big fish in a small pond in South Africa. I'm always looking for a podium placement.
Yeah.
And as part of looking for a podium placement, your goal is to not drop a game.
Yes.
Which means, if that's the case, I don't. Because that's what I'm trying for, I don't go for any assassination that's under, frankly, 90%.
Yeah.
Because if you've got 4 games and you're going for 70% assassinations, each game is in your favor, sure, but that means 1 in 4 you miss.
Yeah,
and if your assassinations are all ins,
then
that means
die.
you are, you're actually you're sinking your chances of that podium placement. Yeah. So it makes it really. It's one of those things. I don't know how other people think about it. For me, it's a problem because I don't look at assassination enough because I've basically ruled it out of my tournament gameplay.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't. Like, you go for assassination if you know you're in trouble. Which is effectively what you did because the mashup was so poor.
I knew from the very point that we pick our casters. I know that I picked the caster that's going to give me the best chance of a win against Infernals, and there's some attrition option where I hold back, but it's not good. So I need to basically try to either for you to like just walk into a mistake or try to force you into a mistake by something.
And force me to overextend or overcommit a little bit, and then whatever's left assassinates me. Because, I mean, geez, the Archons are good.
We had basically a bit like an old school RAN game, right? Where I've got a picture up for the stream, and you can't see this in the central zone. There's a windswept. Is it windswept? One of the new. There was a
big windswept something or other.
There's a big pie plate of swirling air.
Windstorm or whatever it was.
Which
was a hair's breadth.
Which halves the speed of any flying models that go into it for the entire movement. That was a hair's breadth away from saving Abadamos. But instead, it basically meant that I had one clock slightly behind the zone who wasn't going to be evolved, but then I had the other 5 clocks were all in theory in range to be evolved, except for 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, I think 2 of them got shut out by that, and one of them was, and the third was almost shut out.
Yeah, and it was super close that he wasn't. So I spent a good amount of time. We worked it out, and we're like, we're gonna go in. So basically, I ran some clocks to clocks and monkeys to stop counter charges, and then I just had to essentially make sure I was landing.
I almost got away with a bit there. I got in one counter charge that took away one shot from a Archon.
Yes. So he had to.
I was able to block one shot from an Archon.
Yeah, he had to go.
Wasn't enough to save Obadamus, but it felt good briefly.
Up there.
Yeah, but that was my second game.
Yeah, it was super tight. Was it the last attack?
It was very cool. And no, you still had one extra to go.
Oh yeah, I still had like a Hellfire or a thing, but
you still had an extra Hellfire.
Essentially, it was a boosted Clockstress spray, got the slow onto Omo, at which point kind of proxied out where people would land. King and Nothing goes in 5 inches away to apply his debuff, chucks a couple of Death and Dusts, does some decent damage between like those and the initial spray, and then I've got the another spray, and then I think it's like one of the Archons has to Hellfire something, and then port, and then do a second Hellfire, so he goes forward. Hellfire's the gate.
You even got a cheeky dust off with Baron Tunglik.
Yes. Yeah, when you're Death 5, he doesn't mind getting involved.
but that assassination really showed how much of a good choice it was playing in Bump, because that Grave Ghoul really works overtime for that assassination.
Yeah, it was the Grave Ghoul and also having the 2 Malymans as options.
You can take Melody Men in what's the name, in Menagerie as well,
but they cost 6 points.
You have to pay points for them. They're not requisitions.
It's basically a Clockatrice to take 2 Malyman.
Okay.
It's rough. So that was my second game, and your second game. It was really cool.
Yeah. It was a very good game, if somewhat brief.
And then on to round 3 was Invasion. So, what did you get? How did your third game
I
look?
drew Circle. Yeah, I drew Circle, which was the first time I played Circle. So that was pretty cool. What was his name? It was Joseph Mallon.
Yeah.
He was running Iona, and it was, I want to say, Wild Hunt?
Was it Devourer's
No,
host with a bunch of
Iona-
Tharn?
Devourers, that's it. Yeah,
Devourer's
he got
host.
yeah, he got 2 units of Tharns, the medium-based Tharns.
Yeah, Tharn
Yeah.
Ravagers, yeah.
Okay,
Ravagers?
that's them. Yeah.
Boom. And he, bless him, he wasn't best pleased to be playing my list. I had no clue, but apparently Circle's not great at cracking armor.
What?
So
He's playing
Well,
Iona Thorn. That's really
Oh,
good
yeah.
at
Iona should
cracking
hit
armor.
pretty hard, but
it is.
I guess it hits pretty hard on
he
feet turn.
He featured really early on, and
Really?
yeah, to basically, I moved the shock troopers up, shield walled, got iron flesh on, and basically went, "Come at me, bro." I was taking pot shots with Victor. He shot his load basically on the feet very early on. Didn't get all the thorns in. Only ended up with about 4 thorns, and between all his feet, he managed to kill 1 shock trooper and put 3 boxes on another.
That's sad. Okay.
I wonder if he felt like he was forced into it because you had Sorcerer 3. So if he didn't defeat that turn, he probably expected you to defeat your next turn, at which point you stop all of his charges by just sticking down your cloud wall
And set my own up, yeah.
and set
And
yourself up
once
to
he'd
then push him out of
featured,
zones.
he just lost all strength,
Yeah.
and it wasn't really a threat after that.
Now, once he's thrown his feet, he can't crack you.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, I definitely think he shot a turn too soon. But I kind of feel like, because I mean, had he known how clueless I was feeling, I feel like he psyched himself out. He looked at my list and went, "I can't crack it," and featured way too soon. But yeah, I had him. I think again, I won by clock in the end, but it was a case of, I think this time round I had 20 more. Whereas against the Crix guy, I was up on attrition but down on scenario.
Yeah.
And it was, maybe I had 5-7 minutes on him. On the Circle game, I had about 20 minutes of clock on him. Again, he was up on scenario, but at this point, when he clocked, he didn't really have much left, so I would have just, I could have moved into the zones and spent 2 turns.
I feel like the clock is almost secondary there. Like, at that point, you've won the game.
Yeah.
Like, if you could give him an extra hour on the clock and it wouldn't save him.
No.
Cool.
And yeah, it was interesting to play against it though, because I mean, I've had my eye on Circle for a while, and I'd fully read up on Bones, because it's the Bones side of Circle that really appeals to me.
Yeah.
So to see the living side in action, I was like, okay, this is what they do.
Yeah, that was all the rage 2 years ago. It was
we've
quite a
got,
violent move.
One of the guys that's just started
3 years
back
ago.
at our club was playing Bradigus Bones last week.
Oh god.
But basically,
I think
old
Bradigus is the only Circle cast I don't own yet.
And then
I need to get hold of him.
We've got another Circle player, but he's currently spending his free time doing up his extension. So it means we're a Circle lighter club, and obviously now, and you guys come back. So who knows? So well done. Adds two wins to 1. That's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
which is
Pretty
2
good.
wins more than I would expect at the start of the tournament, if I'm honest.
Oh,
So
well
I'm
done.
feeling quite
Pretty
proud of
good
myself at this point.
Cracking. So, Evan, what did you got? So we were on Invasion. What was your third round look like?
So my third round was, who was I facing? This was Tom Wainwright playing Retribution of Scryer. So basically, because I was smarting from being spanked with Omodamus in round 2, I felt like I wanted a real Omodamus game. So for no other reason than just sheer fit of pique, I dropped Omodamus again. And his pairing was not Gorshade, it was Gareth 2, and I, for the life of me, can't remember who else it was, but he clearly dropped Gareth 2. They were with no tridents.
Tom's one of our local players.
Sorry?
Tom is one of our local players. He's been playing probably about a month or 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
I think his pairing was Falsier and Gary too. Yeah.
Ah, it was Felsier. Okay, yeah, and Felsier scares me a lot, but I didn't. But particularly because I didn't see any tridents, and he wasn't playing griffins. I wasn't quite as scared. Another reason I was slightly more leaning towards Omodamus is I wanted more heavies on the table. Just because Felsier, if it's a target-rich environment, she can't trap everything.
Yes.
So Felsier, I've been playing into Paul Sheard's Felsier every now and then online, and it absolutely terrifies me.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So I've come to respect that elf way too much. So yeah, I wanted to give as many targets as I could to that.
Yeah.
What was the zones like? Okay, so this was the circular zones in the center. I mean, basically
two
here I was
zones
just
on
looking
the side,
to
and then a rectangle zone.
two circular zones, a rectangle down the middle.
Yeah.
So I ended up with first turn here, and I was just looking to steal board space and just do Omodamos things.
Yeah.
Basically, take advantage of the center as much as I could, and just bully him back. He was playing with a fair amount of infantry. It's that slightly annoying infantry. It's the new ones where every time you kill them, one comes back.
Yeah.
So I mean, tormentors don't care too much because I can just snack them and they don't do anything fancy.
Yeah.
But it does mean for once in my life, I'm staring at this and I can actually pick up souls with Omodamos.
Oh, yeah.
Except I can't because of their nonsense.
Yeah.
I was being taunted here with this stuff. But basically, I just
no, not for you.
Yeah, but I basically just bullied this one. Like it wasn't a very pretty game. There wasn't a whole lot interesting that happened. The only things were playing around. When he feats, he had a couple of harpies.
Yeah.
So, I just had to be careful that when he shoots me on his feet and knocks me out of melee, like I still have a way to get in and kill what I need to kill.
Yeah.
Which wasn't too difficult. But yeah, this was a bit of a bully game. Also, something that's weird to kind of see and get your head around is, he's got Moros, he's got the two harpies. Infernals, because you're printing new heavies, you're actually quite happy to trade a heavy for a light.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
It's one of those weird things. So you just keep printing and you overwhelm. And yeah, so I ended up winning that one on scenario. What did I take? I took that 5-0 on scenario, but just bullying him back a little bit.
Nice.
I think the only slightly interesting thing was right at the end, just to get into a zone, was I actually made a soul snake. Like, whoever makes soul snakes, and I just needed it to be able to make it and have it walk far enough to get into a zone.
Of course, yeah. Obviously, they've got.
And I suppose something interesting was, for once there was no out for stealth, so I actually held on to my wretches and, had a turn of basically my entire battle group being stealthy.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Yeah, because everything that touches the wretch,
which is absolutely not what Rhett wants to see.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So did you win on clock or?
So no, I took that on scenario 5.
So you just push the scenario far enough for him. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then my third round was against Rob McCormick. So one of the English Roses. I don't know, he was on Knights when he played last, but so a long-term Kalo player. He had who did he not play? So he played Zakova 2. Like, he looked at my list, I looked at his list, and I was like, great, he's going to play his Sacred Warded caster, which he did. And obviously he's got double ponies, double Turnian, Ayana and Holt with Valachev, a couple of Gunjacks, a Thamrite Archon and a Void Archon, and things like a couple like the Grey Lord solos. So I knew even if I could have dropped Wanderer, I couldn't drop Wanderer because it basically just eats up my infantry way too easily.
Yeah,
And
you can't drop Wanderer into that.
yeah. So I go second, and I basically get King of Nothing behind a shipping container where he sits for like the majority of the game. But I run up. I've got like 2 clocks just towing the left zone, a couple of clocks in the middle, not quite to the like just behind the objective sort of thing, and a clock on the right behind this humongous crane just outside the zone. And Rob feats on his second turn, and boy does he feat well. He gets like so many sprays off. It's untrue.
So many boosted sprays.
Yeah.
Oh.
So obviously, so he keeps. So I choose Ruin as one of my Arcana, which at least keeps Zakova back. In hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have, because if she'd come forward, I'd have had a better chance of killing her. But basically, he gets Cult Whispers, Telegraph Mark, and just goes to town. He kills 3 Clockatrices on his feet turn. I'm like battered, like just killing them one by one because I've got sacrifice and he's not allowing me to trigger anything good.
Yeah.
At which point I'm like, right, I've got 2 Clockatrices on the left, and then 2 Clockatrices like back in the middle-ish. But I'm like, this is bad. Those dice did not bode well. So basically, I have to commit, try and clear out stuff. My dice are a lot more soft than his, and I don't get a huge amount cleared. So I kill like a bunch of ponies. I think I clear a bunch of ponies, a bunch of Turnian, and that's it. But I clear like the left zone. So I start scoring. But his turn, he basically comes back in and does another like ridiculous ton of damage to my Clockatrices, where they're just falling one by one. I'm like, oh, this is real bad. And obviously my assassination potential, a lot of it is relying on King and to a lesser extent Baron, and then the Defiled Archons being able to throw their nuke spells at you. And obviously I can't target Zakova. So he ends up clearing out the last of my Clockatrices. So I've just got basically my Malady Men, I think my Grave Ghouls died as well, so I've got my Malady Men, King, Longfellow's too far away, and my Defiled Archons and Baron. And I'm like, right, what can I do? And I was like, right, I think I've got a way of killing you. So I was like, right, so this is what we're going to do. So Longfellow goes up and shoots just some of the chaff around his objectives. I think there was the Grey Lord Adjunct was in base to base with the objective on the one side of the zone, and Zakova was in base to base with the objective the other side of the zone. So I killed the dude, and I'm like, right, your work's done. Well done, Longfellow. My left unit of Malady Man desperate paces itself. The monkey runs up into the middle of the zone, 5 inches away from Zakova, and the Orc and Grinder runs up to like the edge of the circle zone on the left, just body blocks one of Zakova's Due Regards. I'm like, cool, right, this is what we're gonna do, and the plan is the Defiled Archon on the right is going to kill like the only Grey Lord the Grey Lord Cav that can see the monkey on the right, to give him a path to Zakova, and King is going to come up the middle and basically start throwing ashes to ashes into the objective, which Zakova's in base to base with, so it just gets back, it just bounces onto her, so I don't need to target her. I'm like, okay, this is on. So that's what we do. So the monkey runs up, King of Nothing shifts Silent Touch onto Baron Tonguelick with its 3-inch tongue, and then Sands of Fates forward and throws an Ashes to Ashes. Obviously he's only got 8 focus, so he's down to 6. He's down to 4 by the time he gets there, so I can only throw 1 Ashes to Ashes. So I throw Ashes to Ashes, and I obviously I boost the power 10 into Zakova and do like a reasonable chunk of damage. And I think she's got no focus, or she's got 1 focus, not sure. So I do okay. Then after talking about the plan for Tonguelick to go up and do the same, I then walk up Tonguelick, hop to within melee range. So she's now at -4 armor because of Silent Touch and King.
Yeah.
And then instead of carrying through the plan that I said and do the ashes to ashes against the objective, I decide to roll my map 5 tongue attack into her, which misses. So at some point I've forgotten the plan, which we'll come back to in a second. Turns out quite important. But he's there, and I basically so the Archon clears out the last of the Outriders. Everyone else is facing the wrong way. So on the right, the Malady Man says something wicked, which is the extra die for attack and damage rolls for your monkey, and the rest doesn't matter. It just runs up, and the monkey charges Zakova, and I leave Zakova on 5 boxes.
Oh no!
And I'm like, that ashes to ashes would be dice -1. I'm like, okay. pretty decent chance that she would have died to the monkey, which would have been glorious. So it's really
that would have been amazing.
Yeah, it's a really enjoyable game though with Rob. I've played him a few times at Sherwood. It's always a good laugh, and it definitely had a list that I didn't want to see, and got some serious work done on his feet turn. So that killed me, and then left us on to our last game of the event, which is playing Bunkers. So what did you have, Ad? What was your last game like?
I drew Richard Turner's Trollbloods. I believe he was using Borka 2, the guy riding a polar bear.
Yes.
That's him.
Yeah,
in the immune to cold and stationary, effectively, theme, which wasn't fantastic for my list on paper. And I was playing on the board that had a trench going from one corner to the other. So the Bombardiers didn't like that either.
I think Rich is based,
it was a beautiful game. If there was a player vote for best painted, it would have been for Rich. It was a gorgeous Trolls army, and he put like red tartan on every model, like painstakingly hand painted. It was really nice. Really beautiful to play against. I was surprised he didn't win best painted, but the best painted in our pod went to the Sigmar guy I played in round 1, who got all these crazy centaur conversions and stuff. Say Levine.
Kev's done a lot. Just to quickly say, he's won a bunch of painting awards, but also he's been dabbling in ZBrush, which is like the 3D sculpting program. So a bunch of the parts for his Centaur jacks, he's basically sculpted himself,
self-sculpted,
and then printed to make sure he's got like the right look and stuff to go in with the rest of the Signar stuff, which is pretty damn cool. Pretty cool. Anyway, carry on.
I will say Richard's tough rolls in this game were a little bit volcanic. I kind of panicked because he'd got so many bodies. He'd got like big block of Creel warriors, a load of these champions, I want to say. Got like 2 axes apiece.
Thanks, Benno. Yeah.
Weapon masters hit like a bastard. And I kind of... But fortunately, this scenario, I thought, I've got him here, because he'd only got 2 warjacks, beasts, heavy beasts, and, for him to score his own zone, they were both melee beasts, he's going to have to waste one babysitting his own zone.
Yeah.
Whereas this is exactly where I want to park Victor, park the bus, and just shoot things, and if I have to wade into combat, but I was quite happy to just sit him out. And I thought I can use Victor to snipe his solos off, because I had the range. Unfortunately, he just I cocked up on ambush again. He had this stupid.
He's got bears. Bears are fucking good ambush.
Fucking bears. So I lost my demo core to that, and unfortunately, I lost the left flank. And I had this. Honestly, he had the Boomy 4 or Boomy 0, I don't know which one they're calling it, with the Rattling gun, tanking this left flank. Honestly, I shot him. Yeah, the solo anyway.
Yeah,
the Boomy solo, and he had him on my right flag. I had the siege tanker, the strike tanker, shoot him 3 times, and in 3 hits, I did 4 points of damage.
Oof.
this is with straight dice. Bear in mind, this is the strike tanker, so armor piercing, so it's straight dice, and somehow did 4 points of damage over
Grievous,
3 shots.
So if you do enough, he doesn't get a tough roll. But
yeah, I didn't do enough. That's the thing. And on the other flank, he just kept making the fucking tough roll. Every time he's making this bastard tough roll, and I couldn't shift him off, and so I was whittling him away on attrition, and I thought I'd got one more turn, and I must have thrown everything I could with a fully boosted Victor, shooting with the big cannon, shooting with the nipple cannons at this bastard solo, and he kept toughing it out, and I was like, I got nothing left. So I lost on scenario. But again, it was totally down. I'm when I say his tough rolls were hot as hell, yeah, they were. But at the end of the day, it was my fault. I didn't play the scenario well, having not played this one before, and I bricked up in the middle and played it really ultra conservative and safe. And I should have used I allowed my my suppression tank to get fucked up by his ambushes, which was a critical mistake on my point because it cost me one. I've only got the 2 tankers and the Kovnik. They're my only 3 solos in the list.
Yeah.
So when I recklessly threw away one of my suppression tankers like on his turn 1, I was like, shit, I forgot.
You don't really want Sorsha up on your left flank on a flag to score.
No.
It's a bit too exposed.
Nah. But she ain't that quick anyway.
But you didn't clock.
Didn't clock. No. It was a brilliant game, and he was I'd love to play him again. He was a fantastic person.
He comes up to club occasionally. I don't know if you've seen him.
Cool.
He's down Nottingham sort of way. But yeah, he'll occasionally come up for games, which is cool. We're quite lucky that we've got like our core group of like proper locals, I guess, and then we've got a bunch of a decent pool
players.
They'll come from like York and Leeds and Nottingham and Derby, and sometimes further afield, which is cool. But yeah, that's cool. Right, so that means that you did 2 for 2 on your first event back, having only played 3 or 4 games coming into the event, and you didn't clock once.
Yeah, I've had 8 games.
Really well done.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think in our pod then I finished 10th out of 14th. I'd not scored many points throughout the tournament, so let's see. My strength of schedule screwed me. I had a strength of schedule of 5. So, yeah, I'm bottom of all the 2 wins.
Yeah.
But to be fair, my CP is 8 when the other 2 winners, let's see, were 23, 27, 20, 18, and 7.
Something to work out there, right? Like, I did it one year at the Welsh. I got, I basically wasn't very good at playing scenario. And then I kind of recognised that and spent a lot of time concentrating. I was playing Ret at the time, and after like 6 months of like really like trying to focus on scenario game, we went to the Welsh Masters, and I came away with most CPs out of all the players. So I got my little like.
Oh wow!
Is it behind me somewhere? I don't know. I've got like a little like a Menoth sort of framed picture, which is my prize for most CPs. So I was like, oh yeah.
Oh,
so
nice.
Got it. Something to improve on. So always good. But no. So that was your day, and you get to watch. Finish up
I don't know if you want the conclusion yet, or the. Or you're going to go through your guys' 4th game?
Jump through our games, yeah. We'll come back to you. So, Evan, last game, who did you?
So my last game was fantastic. So I was playing Tom Atkinson.
Oh, I like Tom. He's good.
So, and he, and I was looking forward to bringing out Agathon again, and then I saw he had Zal too. Yeah. And the Immortal theme is just a massive middle finger to Agathon, who is basically a Hellmouth caster.
Yeah.
It's not an option. Like, don't even consider it. Just drop Omo and play the game. And it was interesting because he didn't think he had enough to crack my brick. I didn't think I had enough to kind of chew through his nonsense. Yeah. So neither of us went in particularly confident. I think he was close. I think he was right. He struggles to crack the brick.
Yeah.
But this was this was probably the first game in, over a year of playing Infernals where I think I finally understood how to play Omadamus. Oh, for once in my life, I was actually planning 2 turns in ahead. How am I going to contest various scenario pieces? And with a slow army like Infernals, particularly the Omadamus variant, that's really relevant. And so I was planning 2 turns ahead. How do I get a solo to this? He actually gave me first turn, and he did blunder a little bit on this. He saw quicksand that was in the way for me to get out of my zone. Yeah. So this was the 2 rectangular zones, one on each side of the table. There were some flags off to the side, and you've got an objective in each zone.
Yeah.
And he's set me up that to do anything relevant, I've got to get through these zones, through these stupid quicksand things, which means even if I had Pathfinder, which I don't, it wouldn't help me. Except that Omadamus' feat gives you ghostly, so I know that I have 1 turn to get through these stupid quicksands. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's playing Zol, so for anyone who doesn't know, Zol 2's game plan is fairly simple. Get the jump on you if you can. Try to bait you into a couple of giving him an early charge with Vengeance. And if you can't do that, just feat and jam you. And it's so hard to crack that bloody list.
Yeah.
Because the amount of armor of every single model, there's 20 infantry models all sitting at armor like 23 that are just shoving you out of scenario.
Which you can give tough to, right, as well?
I don't know. They might have tough. I can't remember.
I think one of the solos lets him hand out tough.
Yeah, probably. I don't seem to remember him toughing a lot, but there was. There's just all the armor. There's the 2 Supreme Guardians. It's just a tough nut to crack. It's what it's built on. And if you eventually do kill stuff, then Zol gets 5 million fury and tries to assassinate you.
Yes.
So that's
bad.
This is the wonders of Zol 2. Kind of apropos of nothing, Tom's army is also fantastic. He's painted up all of his statues as these terracotta warriors.
Yeah, Ben was
they're really.
It's the stolen novitiates have a tough aura. So if they're within
right
6, so it's quite small, but
okay.
It's also they're easy
to
shield.
It's small,
right?
doable. Yeah. So I pulled off a stunt that I was very proud of on this one. This is something you don't get to do often. So I summoned a Shrieker with Regna early on because I figured I'd like to try kill 1 or 2 solos before everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that my turn 2, I get up front. I've summoned 2 Desolators to stick down clouds to get in his way. And I realized that everything I shoot, I risk the bouncing shots off the Shrieker. So it's the same as like Ashes to Ashes. You've got D3 power 10 bounce off it. So the odds are low of killing.
Right.
It doesn't count as an attack, but if I just roll unlucky, that will kill one of his statues.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the name. Isn't that sad? Immortals. There we go. It kills one of. If that just rolls poorly and kills an immortal, that triggers vengeance, and I can live without that.
So yeah, Ben was just pointing out what I was about to say is that it's not an enemy attack, so it doesn't actually trigger vengeance. So. For next time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for next time.
For next time, then maybe I'll just try to kill her car. But yeah. I came up with a better plan than trying to shoot out her car, actually.
Yeah.
Which was, sod this. This is something you get to use like once every 20 games. One of those rules you forget's even on the card. I took the silly Shrieker and I ran it into the center of one of his units of immortals.
Yeah.
Far enough in that the Supreme Guardian can't kill it before activating the Immortals. And because the idiot thing's got wailing on it, that's the turn he wants to run and jam me, and he just can't issue an order.
Yeah, you're pretty sad if you can only walk your Immortals.
It was amazing. So I freed up a whole flank, which allowed me to contest a flag, so he couldn't score that side.
Yeah.
And then I could contest a flag on the other side. So his whole his whole turn 2 chased me off the flags, which is a typical Zal play. Didn't work. I was able to get aggressive enough with one heavy that I said, sure, you can charge me with a Supreme if you want, but then I'm going to get three Tormentors into you, and you're going to lose that. You're going to lose him anyway.
Yeah.
And he's not taking that trade, which is great. And that way I managed to bully up a bit of space. So he pulls the usual stunt. He tries to get in my way. It's not very effective on the one side. And Zal has been forced off to the side that I've jammed up with the Shrieker. So he can only go so aggressive on the other flank.
Yeah.
And he feats. And he's obviously covered both of the... what's it called? He's covered both of the Supremes.
Yeah.
He's got vision on the one Supreme, but I've got quite a bit of speeds now ahead of me. And then I say, well, let's see just how greedy I can get. He's got all the stuff in front of me, so it's quite easy to build up a triple synergy chain.
Yeah.
I've got 2 Desolators that have been summoned in turns 1 and 2. So each one salt sprays and ticks 2 armor down on a Supreme Guardian.
Yeah.
And I managed to get on the right flank I can get 1 Tormentor after I clear up some space with my feet. I can get 1 Tormentor into a Supreme Guardian. I don't play that side particularly well. I forget to hand out an extra essence. And he's got vision, so that Supreme Guardian.
His feet there, right? So it's a +5 armor swing, and you've got synergy 3 and your spray. So you're literally just hitting him as hard as you do.
I'm hitting as if neither of us have pulled stunts. So the Supreme Guardian on the right hand side lives with about 2/5 of its health left. And then I get two Tormentors with all of this onto the Supreme Guardian on the left-hand side, and that quite easily just falls apart.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm really chuffed. I've killed off half his Immortals.
Yeah.
I've taken off more than half health of one Supreme and killed a second Supreme, and I've done this all through Zal's feet turn.
Yeah.
And the last thing about that is I sacrificed Roger de Viros because I was still paranoid after our game. I said, no, Zal is not assassinating me. I'm a bit far forward and I'm camping 6. I'm not mucking about.
6 seems good.
So he decides, well, stuff it, I'm going for it anyway. So he goes through the Zal thing of using vengeance to murder all of his guys and turn them into souls.
Yeah.
So you sit there watching in horror as Zal builds up 22 fury, because it's what Zal does. But, I mean, the assassination isn't on at this point. I'm armor 20, I've got 6 transfers. He's not getting through that, not without some really spiky dice. And he proceeded to have some spiky dice, but all in the wrong direction, with some of the most atrocious dice I've seen.
The guy's dice off 8, so he's got to basically spike to get anything.
Yeah, and every time he spikes, I've got 6 transfers. How many spikes is he going to get?
Yeah.
But he had the exact opposite. Like, he wouldn't have killed me if I was on 1 transfer with the way his dice went. But that's just poor luck.
Is that why Tomo the next day put his Scorn army for sale?
Yes, I see them up there. I'm sure, man. I hope he's enjoying it.
Tom cycles through armies pretty quickly, though, so I imagine he'd have got his events out of the way and already been looking at what he wants to play next. So I don't think that was like a throw your toys out. But, cracking there.
Yeah. But yes, we were chatting at lunch, and Tom was calling me out that I was talking nonsense and I don't know what I'm doing with Omodamos. And well, clearly that game I was proving him right. That is the best game I've played with that caster yet. I was quite chuffed with that one.
I'm feeling very safe.
Yeah, that was my game 4.
So I'll quickly do my one. So I was playing against Michael Howarth. So he's from Northwest Meta. He's playing Retribution. And he had, I think it was Falsier and Ran. I'd like to think it was Falcon, right? It was definitely Ron, because that's who I played against.
I can see a picture with 2 tridents and a cricket.
Yeah. The Ron list was Ron with an AFG, Arcantrix Force Generator, and 2 tridents, and then a Phoenix and a Chimera. So he's got 2 Arc Nodes, 3 Battle Engines, and 2 units of Stormfall Archers, and then Iris 1, and some support, so stuff like Silas.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, so I need to not let TK King of Nothing, because I mean, it's a very hard list where he threatens pretty far to assassinate. So I run up and put like this row of clouds down in the middle, and I'm kind of like, let's see how this goes. He's got obviously the you can't charge the FG because it's just naturally got a polarity shield, so you can't charge it. Ron puts a polarity shield on one of the tridents, so you can't charge one of the tridents, the one on the right as well. And basically comes up and shoots and then reposts backwards, and it's like, this could be rough. So I need to trample and get into combat with a trident to kill it on the right, or I can like swing left and try and kill the trident here and clear things.
Oh, it's rough.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But he basically
you've got chain weapons to get around the trident's stupid shield.
At least I can
bonus.
do that. But that's only like 1 attack. But he comes up with Ron, and he like puts polarity shield out, TKs a couple of things, and then sits Ron like base to base the objective. I'm not sure he had actually have a focus, or maybe 2. I'm trying to remember, but he was not on a lot, and I was like, and at this point, I've already lost a Clockatrice on the left, so he's got his trident, a combination of force slamming the clock to knock it down, and then trident coming in, and then and the AFG basically getting just about the right angles to finish it off. So I'm like, if he's killing a clock a turn, this is going to be rough. I need a good turn, but I also need to like really respect Ron's assassination. So I'm like, well, the best way to respect Ron's assassination is to assassinate him. so that's what I did. So I talked to the guy. He's a really lovely opponent to play, and obviously he's playing Ron. He's like, this is an assassination list. I'm like, yeah, this is too. So I kind of like...
I mean, you're both playing assassinations. There's no one can cry foul here.
So I basically like worked it out, and I was like, right, this is what's going to happen. I can get I think I could get 2 or 3 Clockatrice sprays, King of Nothing, Tongue Lick, and then a Hellfire from each Archon, but only 1 on each, and that was me done. But with rerolls and stuff. So I basically just set it up. I killed. I ran up Monkey. I killed my own Maldy Man. I killed my own. I'm pretty sure I killed Longfellow as well to like just fuel the Grave Ghoul a bit more. Ran the Grave Ghoul up as much as I could. I couldn't get him close enough that he'd get to where King of Nothing was going to be. So basically, his rerolls were going to be for Clockatrices and the Archons.
Right.
And then send the first Clockatrice up, so he gets the spray. So do a good chunk of damage. He's got a focus off. I think he started with 2 focus, so focuses off some of the damage that takes maybe 3 or 4, but is slowed. At which point I run the Monkey, kill the Organ Grinder, and then King ports up and puts in 3 Death to Dusts, and I think I just killed him. I think that was. Oh no, I think we had Chimera in my zone as well, so I had to move the Chimera somehow to get my Archon on the right to be close enough to Hellfire something to jump close enough to Hellfire again, which was a massive ball ache and ended up not mattering anyway. But yeah, so basically I ported forward with King, and 3 Death to Dusts is enough apparently. I'd triggered Fortune's Fortune the turn before.
Oh,
as well.
Fortune's part.
Yeah. if you're playing against me,
Yeah,
and my Arcana are like sacrificing Fortune's Path,
just a fun thing
what's
for
coming.
people to note. Well, a fun thing for people to note, you kept taunting me in our game when you were going for the assassination. Like, do you want to countercharge? Do you want to risk triggering Fortune's Path?
Yeah, that's the other thing, because you go, these monkeys have got acrobatics, they can go across you, but if you free strike them and you miss me, I have +1/+1 to the rest of my assassination run. Which would you like? Yes,
It was a serious problem. I turned down a countercharge because I just didn't want that risk.
Yeah, it's absolutely like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. I was playing,
which is Grimkin's playstyle, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I had the King and nothing list I played at the last WTC, the physical one. I had Hermit in the list as well, so I'd run up Hermit, and then I had the option of basically going, do you want to take the chance of triggering it, and then if you do trigger it, I could just Hermit it anyway. It's like, what?
Oh wow,
which is cool. So that's my game. It was a lovely guy, and then we got so we finished really early, and I got to like pack everything away and watch, go around and check on people from the club and mates, watch how their games were going, and I watched the end of the game, the finals for our pod as well, which was Brett Wilkie playing into Rob McCormick, which is cool. Do you want to get a Zelloed or no? Is the question. Says Eric. But yeah, so that was my.
What was Brett playing?
Brett was playing Bethane 2 and another list. I'm not sure what the other list.
That's what I thought. For some reason, it's been listed as Circle on here, and I can't work out why. I thought he was playing Legion.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the list we had on the event page was basically just like a prediction from Simon to try and get like people's rough.
Oh right.
Matches. I know he asked me if I was playing Cock, Mercs, or Grimkin. I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely playing Mercs. Mm-hmm. And yeah. Oh, Eric had. Eric's one of the guys. You must have you played him? He's playing on stream a bunch of times. He's a nice guy, troll player, and he had his first event back on the Saturday, so over in the States, and obviously we played on the Sunday, which was cool. So,
very cool.
How did it go? And you said you wrap up your event. What was it like for you, buddy?
Redeeming would be the lead word, I guess. Like I said, from the poorer experiences I had with MK2, this was perfect. Like, I had 4 games against 4 brilliant opponents, with not a single rule dispute or anything like that. I mean, I'd like to think that the environment and the atmosphere we have in Age of Sigmar is really good. But even then, you have games where you have to like poker face and bite your tongue, and you're just thinking, "Oh, come on, get through this game." And this tournament was brilliant. I mean, don't get me wrong, I fully expected on losing all 4 games, and I was told that's okay. Go for the buffet, and they were right. The buffet was like the shit. So it was worth going just for the buffet. But yeah, 4 brilliant games, 4 new opponents that I've never played before. Whole new army that I've never played before, some new casters, learnt loads of stuff, and I guess the last thing will be got 2 wins out of it, but that kind of comes last, really.
That's pretty cool.
Really, really enjoyed it, and be signing up for the next one.
And the next one is in November, I think.
I think it's the second to last weekend in November.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So that'd be super cool, and obviously it's like 2 minutes from 21st. Your house, 2 minutes from your house, 15 minutes from my house. Yeah. It's a good place to have really popular, really
absolutely
enjoyable events at. So couldn't
yeah, it's brilliant, man.
And obviously
very newbie friendly.
Yeah, that's the thing. This and it's such a good crowd. So even like the people that have got a lot of experience are there to have fun as well. It's not. People aren't going to be shoving your shit in on purpose, which is kind of cool. What did you think then, Evan? It was your first time up to our neck of the woods.
My first time up to Sherwood. It was fantastic. It really was. Simon runs an amazing event, really smooth. I was really worried we'd be late for the first game because breakfast took a little longer and we were about half an hour away.
Yeah.
we got there just in time. But yeah, fantastic event, great spread. Yeah, I got to play 4 people who, I'd spoken to you online, but I'd never actually met you in person.
Yeah.
And 3 other people I've never met, which is great. I love playing new people. Like, you always get used to your own meta, especially London is a very small meta right now. So getting to play new people is amazing. Yeah, London's quite small right now. We're busy trying to build it up.
Yeah, a lot went to Crisis Protocol when that came out.
We lost quite a few people to Crisis Protocol.
A lot of them though are now going over to Age of Sigmar, oddly.
Yeah, and Norbert's now pushing that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to drag him back into Warmachine, but I think it's a bit of an ask right now.
Yeah.
Maybe give him a year or 2.
Yeah, there's time.
But yeah, I think the strongest meta near us is actually, or the biggest meta near us is right now Brighton.
All right.
Who have kicked off again, and the Brighton guys are also a great bunch of guys, but they also live in their meta is like this own little bubble as well.
Yeah.
That like the competitive meta has never touched, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sherwood was fantastic, and also it was nice to see a larger turnout as well.
Yes,
it was great.
Yeah,
like 40 people is really cool. Which was great. Like, yeah, the next one, as it says, November. I'm going to be seeing if and how I can make that.
Yeah,
I'd really love to come down if I can make it happen.
Plenty of room in the garden for a pop-up tent in November.
Well, I mean, one of the things I might look at is like if I can make a weekend of it, and like if people are keen to just meet at a club and play friendly games on Saturday, if I can make a weekend of it, it becomes a lot easier to make it happen.
Yes, yeah, no, that's cool.
But yeah, for anyone considering it, I highly recommend it. It's just a good day of playing games with good people. It's well run. It's really smooth.
Yeah, Side does like spot prizes every round as well, where it's like if you're the first person to kill an Argon or to kill a huge base, you get something out of it. And then obviously there's painting prizes. There's a prize for first, second, third, and last. Yeah. And yeah, there's various other things. He did like an axe throwing game during lunch, and the winning
I saw that.
The winning pod got to have like a big like celebrations box of chocolates to share for doing them or something like that, which was just car crash TV.
It's with Richard as well. I got 3rd place in our pod, which I was quite chuffed with.
Yeah.
So
I got 4th. You beat me to it because of my awful scores didn't help, because I was literally zero.
I'm actually staring
0,
at it. We had the same strength of schedule, and control points were 20 versus 3. So we see where the tiebreaker happened.
Well, even my army points were bad, because I think like 2 games I literally like killed. And didn't kill anything else. It was fine.
There's a caster, it must die. That is what you are doing.
I enjoyed myself, and part of what I was doing was was seeing how I wanted to play Grimkin again. Like I had. You've got to take something to defend yourself against gun lines, right? Gun lines are too strong at the moment to ignore. So I either take King Nothing or Old Witch. And Old Witch, even though I've been playing Grimkin for like 3 years, I still haven't assembled her. So I was basically like, well, I could like try and make sure I've squeezed the time in like the week before, or I could just pick up King Nothing who's ready, which is what I did. But,
right.
But yeah, I liked my choices, my Clockatresses, the Archons, the Grave Ghoul, and the Double Mally Man makes that assassination like on nearly every game. Like it's real good. Have that option.
It's really impressive. I must consider that. Like, as I say, I own 4 clocks. Like I haven't bit the bullet and gone all the way to 6.
I went to 9.
No,
I had 9 originally.
Why?
Because there was a legit King of Nothing 8 clock list, and I've got one extra of every heavy, and
I mean,
and a bottle of Black 2.0. I don't tell you this event. I got a bottle of Black 2.0 Vanta Black, which is like a scientifically bullshit made black paint that like absorbs
blacker than light.
Yeah. Absorbs light particles. And basically, it's bonkers, right? You paint something, and it looks like something is taking that shape out of like the room in front
It is a shadow.
Yeah, and that's what it was for. To trigger the shadow. I've never even played with a shadow arcana, not once. But the plan was there.
I mean, I used to play the Dreamer with piggybacks just to trigger the shadow.
Fair. So there we go.
It's a fantastic trap, but piggybacks.
Yeah.
I was asking you why. I'm staring at 2 units of piggybacks with UA in my shelf right now.
I don't even own one, although I want them, to be fair, just for the completion, and they're very cool.
They're
models.
So cool.
Yeah, I think I'll get them. Cool. At some point, I'll get them. But yeah, so there we are. That is our little rundown of basically coming out of lockdown into a really successful and a really fun event put on by one of our locals, and he charges like so little for the event. I don't know how many people I've heard tell him stick an extra $5 on a ticket price. It'd still be very very much worthwhile, and will cover. I've been saying
the same thing to the Fishcord guys with VTC. Like, nobody's going to get upset if it goes from like 10 quid to 15. No one's going to bat an eyelid.
People
seriously.
Yeah, people acknowledge how much effort goes into these things, basically.
Yeah, let your effort get some recompense. Like, nobody's going to get upset with you, for God's sakes.
Yeah. I think I've managed to this week. Ben Hampshire's been selling off a bunch of excess
I've
stuff.
seen he's been decluttering his collection.
He's keeping his Grimkir and his Convergence and his K-Door, but like
I didn't even know he had Convergence. Bloody hell!
Yeah. But and he messaged me saying like, "Oh, I'm getting rid of all this stuff, and you guys have got a long list of newer players. Do you reckon anyone would want this?" And I think our club.
That's really cool. That's a top bloke.
Yeah, so I think Dave Ricketts has taken like a Minions like bundle, a big bundle off him, because he wants to build up some armies at the game store that he plays at, so he could go, here's an army, play me. But then out of our guys, we've got a Signal player who's just bought one of the bundles, and Andy, who Adam played in the first round, the Signal player, has just bought his Cricks. Someone else has bought his Men off.
I've got a bunch of really cheap Signal stuff. If he's looking to bulk up, just get him in touch with me.
Yeah, we've managed though to basically to snaffle up a load of the stuff he's getting rid of on the cheap, and
great.
And being the cheeky guy I was like, oh Ben, if I'm finding you buyers for like half of these armies, well, am I getting a little something? So and he was going to post stuff, but we've got so much stuff from members of the club. He's just coming over my house tomorrow, and he's just bringing me like a box of them to go and divvy out like Warmachine Santa on Monday.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, I did get a little something, so I got to pick a bunch of Crix models that he had, which I picked for Simon, knowing what Simon needed for his army. He doesn't often treat himself. So I was like, so all these guys buying stuff locally meant that we were basically all contributing towards getting a couple of new models for Si to play with, which is nice, and go, thanks for running our event site, here's the models. Which is good.
That's awesome as well.
Yeah, it makes me feel. I'm having a Slayer. No, a Stalker for Gatsby.
You want the guys who you want the guys who go through all this effort to make these events work to feel appreciated, because they are appreciated.
Yeah, they are.
But you kind of need to let them know.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, so there you go. So that's our back to Warmachine. So thanks guys for agreeing to come on and have a chat. It was a wicked weekend. I'm the same. I played. Obviously, I'd met you online and we'd had a game and stuff, but I've never seen you face to face. Rob was the only player that I've played before, so I had three games against 3 new people really. So that was quality, and I had a brilliant night. Got home 10 minutes afterwards, and you got home after midnight sometime, right?
Oh yeah.
worked pretty well. But yeah, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. If you have, we'll stick this up on YouTube afterwards after like compress it so it's not so huge. And I'll put a little bit of time in. I was trying to do like an overlay before my little girl decided to be up an hour and a half past her bedtime, so I did nothing. So yeah, hopefully I'll do something like this again. I might try to do like a weekly kind of show, I guess, and talk about games that people had, anyone wants to jump on, and kind of looking to do stuff like faction reviews as well, would be handy for newer players or players going back. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm happy to chat if you want to turn this into like a semi-regular podcast of some sort.
Always a good chat with everybody. So thanks Evan for coming on. Thanks Adam for coming on as well. And
no worries. Happy to represent the noobs.
For me, yeah. And
hey, great.
We'll catch everyone for another one then. We'll definitely try and get something done. And I'm looking forward to the kids going back to school next week so I can get some painting done.
Oh, I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to that.
No. Let's not talk about that.
Big painting queue and a slaughterhouse arriving tomorrow, and that's gonna take.
Oh no!
Nice.
Take some
that looks well nice. That model.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
It's a gorgeous mini. It really is.
Yeah, that's gonna be super interesting.
Right, I'm off to scoot then, gentlemen. So it's been lovely chatting.
Thank you very much, guys.
Great stuff.
I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
Catch you guys later.
Thank you all.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
And thanks for watching. If you have, so. We're Kesbon Gaming. Check out the social media links. We're on Twitch, Facebook Gaming, YouTube, and then there's the website. There's some game info on the website as well. So if you need to like see the new scenario packet, the layouts, the new terrain types, and the objectives, just go onto the game support tab of the website. And yeah, check us out. Hopefully we'll get some painting done next week and some new stuff out for you. But in the meantime, cheers. Thanks. Good night.